There's some good news with Bertha this evening. The wind shear is still continuing, and that's pushing most of the thunderstorm action to the south and west of the center, which is why you can see most of this red blob is south of the actual storm. Even though that's the case, the winds are sustained at 60 right around that center, but most of the activity is nowhere near the northern side or even the eastern part for that matter. And this system will move to the west, ultimately grazing the land of Louisiana and then possibly pulling into the shores of Texas in the days ahead. But we're not done yet. The Pacific is activated with Hurricane Fausto, winds of 80 miles an hour. This one moving away from the land, and that will generate some significant surf potentially up into Baja and maybe parts of Southern California. Another system could be forming in the days ahead off of Central America. We're going to watch this carefully as the El Nino-induced warming continues over the Pacific Ocean. And then what used to be Tropical Storm Elita, now a remnant low. You can see that action to the north. But this system is interesting because the visible satellite of just several hours ago showed us the actual center of what used to be Elita, west of Southern California. Notice the clouds lining up. These are low clouds pushing in some significant humidity into parts of the Southland this evening. We'll talk about that in a moment, but this is unique. Look at that center of circulation to the west of the Golden State. And the dew points, the measurement of moisture is up by 14 in Bakersfield, higher by 8 in Santa Maria, 9 above yesterday in San Luis Obispo. That is a lot of moist air. What does it look like if you take a look at the surface observations? Well, a dew point of 68 to 70 near Santa Barbara. That is a lot of humidity. Lompoc checks in with a dew point close to 70 degrees. Even from Vandenberg, dew point 66, 68 to 70. These are tropical type moisture levels that aren't typically found in coastal California, but we are seeing them this evening. So we've got that humidity up because of what used to be Tropical Storm Elita pushing that southerly flow from the Mexican Ocean, which was located west of Baja, northbound, and now east into Southern California. So that is something we are watching tonight. Kind of unique in the sense that we are tracking these systems, and we may not be done yet, as we could be dealing with days and weeks of more tropical action over the Pacific. Temperature have taken a tumble in Bakersfield due to that increase in moisture, down by 7, but contrast that with the coast, higher by 2 to 4 from Santa Barbara to Santa Maria at this hour. So we are tracking those changes, and they are happening. And by the way, the heat is only getting started for some of the parts of Central and Southern California in the days ahead. Eastern Kern County is under an extreme heat watch with a potential of serious weather moving into those thermometers as early as Thursday. We'll talk about that here right now. And Thursday to Friday to Saturday to Sunday to Monday. Highs from 108 to potentially as high as 112 degrees. That could be some dangerous heat, although this time, thankfully, it may be a dry heat as the monsoonal moisture still staying off to our east, at least for now. But be aware of the heat that looks like it will be found. Here's a look at the next 10 days across the South Valley. You've got temperatures that are going to fluctuate between the low 100s to the high 90s. Average is 99, so we're not that far away from that for Bakersfield. Overnight lows on the warm side, but the mountains will start to get even warmer, going from the mid-80s to the low 90s by Thursday, Friday, and into Saturday. Tehachapi, obviously, typically has higher numbers than Frazier Park. Over the KRV, mid to upper 90s may become 100s for several days in a row. Overnight lows in the low to mid-70s, so it'll be plenty warm enough if you're camping or hiking. Stay hydrated out there, but the desert is going to continue to sizzle. Highs from 107 to 108, 109 and possibly 110, and as you saw in that watch, locally as high as 112. So be aware of this heat. Looks like it's going to stick around for quite some time, and stay tuned to the latest weather updates. Back to you for now.